Hi everyone, welcome back to our Unix Linux series. Today we are going to cover two main topics. Firstly is getting started with Jenkins, and secondly is learning how to use for loops in bash scripting. First, let's look at Jenkins. There is a video on Canvas that goes over how to make a Jenkins job in depth. And so what I'd like you to do is watch that video and then go to the Jenkins server and follow along with those instructions. There's also a PDF on Canvas that has those instructions laid out. Now let's move on to the command line and look at loops. We are going to write a small script called welcome, and I highly encourage you to code along with this. So firstly, we start with our first line, which is that shebang, and then also commenting the name of the script along with your name and the date. And for the logic, we will use a standard range syntax. So we're making a basic for loop here. If you've done any other coding language, you likely have encountered a for loop. In this example, when you run this code, it will print welcome $i times, but instead of $i, it's going to be the integer from 1 to 5. So there are going to be 5 lines of output. Keep in mind that when we have 1 to 5 here, it is inclusive of both 1 and 5. We can also rewrite this same exact script using a C-style for loop. What we have here is we set the index I equal to 1, and then it checks if I is less than or equal to 5 and increments I by 1 each time. The body of the loop remains the same, echoing that welcome statement, and both styles achieve the same result, so whichever best fits your situation is completely fine. Now, for your programming assignment, you are going to create a script called numbers. The script is going to prompt the user to type in a positive integer. Then, using a for loop, it's going to print every number from 1 up to that user's number. Also, it's important that on each line containing the number, it needs to print whether that number is odd or even. So, for example, if I run the program and enter the number 5, the output should look exactly like this on the screen. Here's an overall workflow that you need to follow to complete this assignment. First, you want to fork the repository, which can be found in our Chapman Intro to Nix organization. And by forking this, that means that you have a copy of the repository, but won't be affecting the actual class repository. Then clone that repository to your local machine. If you recall, there's that git clone command, or if you use VS Code, you can do the command Shift P and simply type in clone, and there should be an option for cloning a GitHub repository. Next, you will need to change into the directory of the repository that you just cloned. If you are in VS Code, there's a good chance that it'll say that it detected that you cloned a repository. Would you like to open it? And you can say yes. If you are not sure that you are in the correct working directory, you can type pwd, which will print your working directory. And also, I would recommend typing git remote-v, which can help you confirm that you are, in fact, connected to your remote GitHub repository that you forked from the class organization repository. As a reminder, you do need that shebang at the beginning, and then you'll want to comment the name of the script, so in this case numbers.sh, and the third line should be your name. Then you need to write the logic, which starts with prompting the user for a number. Your script will read the number, and then set up your loop to iterate from 1 to that number. And inside the loop, you'll need to determine if the current number is even or odd and print the result on a new line. Then save your script and run shell check on it to make sure that it passes without any warnings. Then you'll also see that there's a README file in the repository. And so I'd like you to fill all of the fields out for that. And once you're done with that, add both the script and the README to your staging area, commit them to your local repository, and push the updates to GitHub. Here is some starter code that might help you out with determining if an integer is even or odd. Finally, for your submission, you will need to create a Jenkins job. Again, go look at that video that walks you step by step through Jenkins. And this job should run shell check on your script and also run the script itself using input redirection. Once you have a successful build, post the link to the console output from Jenkins onto the Canvas assignment. If you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me, and have a great day.